Okay, so imagine a single molecule that's so powerful it doesn't just quiet your hunger, it can literally wash the fat right out of your liver. We're talking about Retatrutide, a brand new weight loss drug that's being called everything from a miracle to, well, a menace.
And yeah, the headlines are all over the place. On one side, you see the unbelievable hype, the God molecule, a drug that can trigger a staggering 24% weight loss. But then, on the other side, you hear these horror stories about muscle wasting and something that's been grimly nicknamed the death of joy. So what's the real story here?
Look, if you're feeling confused, you're not alone. It's a lot to take in. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise, dig into the actual clinical data, and figure out what's really going on with this thing.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we need to understand why managing weight is so incredibly hard to begin with. Then, we'll dive into how this new drug basically engineers a biological bypass. After that, we got to talk about the price tag, the biological cost of all that power. And finally, we'll look at how a tool this powerful might actually be managed.
All right, so to really get why a drug like Retatrutide is such a game changer, we first have to appreciate why we struggle. And let's be really clear about this. For so many people, this is not a failure of willpower. It's actually a case of our ancient biology doing its survival job a little too well.
You have to remember, for almost all of human history, starvation was one of the biggest threats out there. Our ancestors who survived were the ones who were best at storing fat. The problem, our biological hardware was built for that world of scarcity, but we're now living in the software age of Uber Eats and constant temptation. It's a profound mismatch.
See, deep inside your brain, you've got this little area called the hypothalamus. Think of it as the air traffic controller for your metabolism. It doesn't care about your summer body goals. Its one and only job is to keep you alive. And it does that with a kind of internal thermostat, fiercely defending what's called your body fat set point. If your fat levels dip too low, it sounds the alarm to get them right back up.
Now here's where the real tragedy comes in. In obesity, the brain can effectively go nose-blind to a hormone called leptin. Leptin is released by fat cells, and it's supposed to shout, "Hey, we're full down here, stop eating." But when the brain can't hear that signal anymore, the wire is basically cut. So even when there's plenty of energy stored, the brain thinks it's starving and just cranks up the food noise, that constant obsessive chatter about your next meal. You just can't willpower your way out of a hardware problem.
And that, right there, is where this new generation of drugs enters the picture. They are literally engineered to create a powerful biological bypass to get around these broken signals.
Okay, but hold on. Before we go one step further, I need to make this crystal clear. Retatrutide is not approved by the FDA. It is an experimental drug. All the hype has created this dangerous gray market of unregulated chemicals. Buying that stuff online is like playing Russian roulette with your body. Seriously. Everything we're talking about today comes from carefully controlled clinical trials.
Okay, so with that warning in place, how does this thing work? Well, think of your metabolism like a door with a bunch of locks. Ozempic was basically a single key, hitting a receptor called GLP-1. Then came Mounjaro, which was a double key, adding another one called GIP. Retatrutide, well, it's the first ever master key. It hits a third, really important receptor, glucagon.
Now this glucagon part, this is where it gets really interesting. Glucagon is famous for being the hormone that tells your liver to dump sugar into your bloodstream. So you might be asking, why on earth would you add that to a weight loss drug? Because when you combine it with the other two keys, it does something totally different. It acts like a furnace. It tells your cell's power plants to just start leaking energy as heat. It's literally turning up your body's thermostat.
And the results, they're just staggering. In the phase 2 trials, the average weight loss was 24.2%. To put that in perspective, that's getting into the same ballpark as what's seen with bariatric surgery. This isn't just about feeling less hungry. The drug is actively making the body burn more fuel.
But you know what might be even more incredible? It wasn't what happened on the scale. It's what happened in the liver. For patients who had fatty liver disease, the high-dose group saw their liver fat drop by a mind-blowing 80%. This just shows the incredible power of that glucagon-liver connection. Retatrutide essentially forces the liver to burn through its own fat stores for energy. One source described it perfectly. It's like it power washes the organ from the inside out. A massive, massive clinical win. But, and there's always a but, it comes at a price.
Right, because here's the thing about biology. There's no free lunch. Ever. You
You can't just flip a switch on a fundamental survival drive without causing some ripples elsewhere. So let's take a look at the price tag for putting your body into this kind of biological overdrive.
So the data points to three big ones. First, a sustained increase in your resting heart rate. Second, the potential for losing a significant amount of muscle, not just fat. And third, a kind of flattening of emotional reward known as anhedonia, which, it's essentially the loss of joy in things you used to love.
Let's talk about the heart first. During the trials, the researchers saw a clear increase in resting heart rate that went up with the dose. We're talking an extra 7 to 10 beats per minute, on average, for the folks on the highest dose, and that's 24/7. Why? Because it turns out that same glucagon receptor, it's also located in your heart's own natural pacemaker.
Now, an extra 10 beats a minute might not sound like a huge deal, but do the math. That adds up to over 14,000 extra heartbeats every single day. As one physician put it so well, you are essentially asking your heart to run a half marathon every single day while you're sitting on the couch. Your heart just never gets a rest day.
Okay, so beyond the heart, there are two other big things to watch out for. First is muscle wasting. When you lose weight that fast, your body can start to burn precious muscle tissue for fuel. That slows down your whole metabolism, which can set you up for a catastrophic rebound if you ever stop the drug. And second is that anhedonia. Because these drugs hit the brain's reward center. For some people, the joy from things like music, hobbies, even their morning coffee, it all just gets flattened. The world kind of turns to grayscale.
So with all these risks on the table, if this drug ever gets approved, it's clear this is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. This is an extreme tool, and it absolutely demands active, careful management with a medical team.
So how can you fight back against these risks? Well, experts are focusing on three key strategies to discuss with a doctor. First up, protein. A big increase in protein intake is crucial to give your body the building blocks to hold on to muscle. Next, you gotta lift weights. Cardio's great, but resistance training is what protects your metabolic engine. And third, and this is crucial, is closely monitoring your heart rate with your doctor to find that sweet spot, the lowest dose that works without putting too much strain on your heart.
So here's the big picture takeaway. Retatrutide, it's an absolute masterpiece of molecular engineering, there's no doubt about it. It really could make a huge dent in major health crises like obesity and fatty liver disease. But its incredible power is absolutely a double-edged sword.
And this right here might be the most important thing to remember. A drug like this can be an unbelievable tool for fixing those faulty biological signals, but it is not a permanent fix on its own. Think of the drug like a crane on a construction site. It can do the heavy lifting for you at first, but you're the one who has to use it to build a healthy foundation that's actually going to last a lifetime.
So that leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Is this a medical masterpiece that's going to solve our modern metabolic crisis? Or is it a deal with our ancient biology, one where we just haven't seen the final bill yet? As the big phase 3 trials move forward, that's what we're all waiting to find out.